Does.
All right, we are live.
Okay. Hi guys. So we are Matt Catan. We have David. I don't know how to say your last name. We have
David
Clayton.
Lobacaro.
And then we have Zach Fuller.
That's
And
me.
we have Clayton
Harwood.
Harwood. Okay, awesome. So today we're going to be talking about IDEs. Specifically, what that means is an IDE is an integrated and development environment, which is basically an environment in where software engineers and coders can come and program data to make applications, to make different programs to use for various things in life. So that's what we'll be talking about, and we'll be talking about specifically mobile app development and which IDE is best used for that. I will be talking about Visual Studios. Um, Zach will be talking about Xcode. Um, David will be talking about Android Studios, and Clayton will be talking about Notepad++. Um, all right, now Zach will take the board now.
All right, so I'm Zach Fuller, and I'm actually an electrical engineer major. So I don't have tons of experience in software development, but I have taken several classes where I've used Xcode to do various applications, mostly games. We did a Moonlander game and an Asteroids game, object-oriented programming. And my experience with Xcode was very positive. I found it very easy to use. It seemed that there were resources there. It was easy to look up if I didn't know how to use something. It was very easy to find instructions online for that. And I haven't had a lot of experience with others, such as Visual Studios or even the Android or Notepad++, but I know that Xcode is free, and I've enjoyed using it, and I think it'd be a great one to use for our mobile application development.
Okay. Um, the IDE, I'm David Lobacaro, and the IDE that I'm rooting for is Android Studio, and I've been using it a lot lately. And it has a really nice user interface where it has a drag and drop graphical user interface designer, which makes things really easy. I haven't seen this in really any other IDE. Makes it really simple. It makes setting up the GUIs really quickly. You don't even have to bother with code super quickly. And it also has code completion. It makes typing in those super long variables easier. It makes refactoring easy, just renaming things. Error handling is very nice as well. Android Studios also supports Google Cloud, native support for that. So it's as easy as checking a box in the settings, and that provides a server for the Android apps, and also allows you to create web-based applications that easily interact with Google Maps, and also integrates really nicely with Google Documents. Also, that has a Gradule, which is an easy way to add dependencies into your project, which is one line of code. And so it's really easy to add third-party plugins or third-party extensions. Also, the user interface isn't overbearing, really simple. It gives you tips on how to use it. It has buttons that are easy to understand. It's not overbearing. You can get where you want to go with less clicks. And it's fairly new, so it has some good support, which is all very nice when working with IDEs. And it's completely free. And so that's why I'm for Android Studios.
Awesome. My name is Clayton Harwood, and I'm a web design and development major. The IDE I've chosen to support is Notepad++. One of the biggest pros for me is that it is a free open source download with unlimited use, so everybody can download it, everybody can use it for free. It is really user-friendly and easy to learn, so there's not a steep learning curve. It has a huge directory of plugins, stuff like code markup, which lets you autofill the code. Very helpful. Spell checker, so we don't have those embarrassing blunders. Autosave, which is always good to have when you're immersed in coding. Sometimes you forget to save and you have to go back to where you last saved, which is very frustrating. The FTP plugin, which makes it easy for you to upload your codes. It's preloaded with over 50 of the most popular programming languages. So any language we decide to use, whether it be C++, Java, C#, any one that we will be using, it will allow for that. It allows creation of macros to record actions and replay them later, so we can avoid having to repeat repetitive actions, make our work a little bit quicker, more fluid. It has a global search and replace feature among the sites and documents. So anytime we need to make a change to the software, it's really super easy to search and replace all those that need to be replaced with the new code. It's really handy for that. And you know, the biggest thing too for us, and I mentioned before, is just that it's free, and we'll be able to continue to use that for on as many computers that we have. And that's why I have decided to support Notepad++.
All right, so I am taking over Visual Studios. Visual Studios is obviously a Microsoft-based IDE, but even though it is a Microsoft-based IDE, it does, accept a lot of various languages, and specifically for mobile application, it uses Visual Basic, it uses JavaScript, Visual C++, and various other ones as well to use for the web application process. It also has tools for developers to use cloud or web applications and for free. It does have various forms. So if you're looking for something that's free, they have Visual Studio Express, which is free, and it's they basically strip down the premium stuff, so it's free for all other programmers. If you're a student, the premium ones are for free. If you're not a student, it does cost a bit more. It is in the hundreds of dollars. However, if you're students like me and you, we can get it for free, and we can use it on our computers later on until we're in our careers. And if you're just looking for it to try it out, it does have Express, which is a free version. Now it does offer, because it does have a large library, and so the tools there allow for lots of forums to help you to understand things and add extensions in, because the Visual Studio itself is more basic in that it's not built for specifically one type. It's kind of a general audience, and if you want to add it, if you want to develop a certain way, it has extensions that you can just follow a simple process, and you can allow that, like for example, OpenGL or graphics. You can add that into there, and it allows you to add different 3D images and still images into your coding, which is a very useful extension to Visual Studios. It does allow for various cross platforms. So if you are using Apple's Xcode, Google's Android Studio, you could actually just bring that code on in. So it's actually it does transfer over to different platforms, which is also a nice thing because it converts over easily. So there is that plus side to it. So if you were using Xcode before and you just wanted to switch over and try something out, it wouldn't be so super difficult. They have a process you can walk through. It does allow for that. It does auto-correct you, so as you're typing as well, you do have that. It'll fill in the blanks of what you previously used or what it should be, what the code is. So it does limit the extent of time. And if you're doing programs like C#, it actually is less time-consuming than it would be if it was C++, and there are different pros for there. There's a common. I think that's about it for this part.
So now if we want to open this up for discussion, one of the first things I wanted to ask you guys was, I noticed when I took CS124 from Brother Phelan, he had a MacBook Pro and he would use Xcode to give us examples of code and to show us. That was C++. So that was my first experience with programming, was in Xcode. He showed us using Xcode. And also when I took CS241 from Brother Burton, he also has a MacBook Pro, and he used Xcode. I also know that Brother Phelan, he was actually the one who created the first Book of Mormon app for the iPhone. It's still on there, and he still like keeps it up to date. It's kind of cool, but so he used Xcode to make a Book of Mormon app for iPhone. However, I don't know how easy it would be for Xcode to switch platforms maybe and to go for like an Android application. It might be completely different. Do you guys have any input on that?
So for me, I've taken in each one of the languages I took. I started out in Java, and then I moved over to scripting languages, and then I moved over to C Sharp. So in each one of those, people were using various IDEs specifically. So that's kind of a difficult thing for me. But I noticed that for me, I was noticing that my professor was using he was using Visual Studios, and so that was kind of the common thing of why I started using Visual Studios and why, like you, I was into that, and I just noticed that it was a lot easier and simplistic to transfer over than having a Mac. It just seemed like using the Xcode was a little bit more difficult to do the program, since the code was, the instructor was teaching it from, like he was teaching us how to download in Visual Studio. So I don't know that I know that it was difficult to have to have a Mac and do the programming, because you had to go through this extensive process. So I didn't even want to worry about that.
Right.
She uses a Mac, and she actually got the Xcode, and it didn't seem to be very difficult for her. She had plenty of walkthroughs, and so unfortunately, I don't know if I helped contribute to this discussion.
Okay. Well, I had Brother Fallon as well. I can never pronounce his name, but I have him actually for the class that I'm taking now, which is software design and development. We're actually creating a mobile application right now using Android Studios. He seems to really like Android Studios. It doesn't really support, if we had decided to go with a different IDE from this discussion and decide to go into Android Studios, it would be kind of difficult because it uses a gradual system, and importing and integrating that from other IDEs, if you're not using the gradual system, can be kind of difficult. So if we do end up going with another IDE, switching the Android Studios will be a difficult task. That's just something I've come across. Yeah. But I think that one of the most important things with an IDE is, what are you doing with an IDE? You're coding. And we're going to be coding in our company. We're going to be coding mobile applications. And so we need to discuss kind of how quick are we able to code in our respective IDEs.
Right.
Go ahead.
That's one of the bonuses of Notepad++ is how easy and user friendly it is to get it quick and going. But depending on any language we use, that's the benefit of this not a very steep learning curve.
Right, and with its simplicity with Notepad++, it does not offer any kind of, once your project gets really big, doesn't really offer an easy way to edit your code. It doesn't really have code completion, nor does it have the ability to refactor. So if I had a global variable, I wouldn't be able to change it in one place and have it affect everywhere else. So that could add some really difficult. I just foresee with our company, when we're creating a big application, I can see that getting in the way and maybe being detrimental detrimental.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, does anyone else have any thoughts on the speed of their IDE or how it compares to others?
I haven't ever used anything besides Xcode, so for me, it seemed like it was fast, and it had things like autofill. It could tell what you were typing, and you just hit tab, and then it would fill in the rest for you. But one thing maybe, Android Studio, if we designed a mobile app in Android Studio, then let's say it'd be easy to put it on the Android market, but what about putting it into the Apple App Store? Would we have to completely rebuild it from the ground up using a different IDE, or would Android Studio allow us to also access the Apple App Store market?
If we decide to, that's a good question. If we decide to develop for Android, then it'd be really good to use Android Studios. But in order to create an application for Apple, it would require pretty much recoding the entire thing in a different IDE. Yes.
What does Xcode do the same, or does it do both?
So the way I understand it, Xcode, it can do both. It's able to, I think it's able to kind of translate it from, and I'm sure there's programs out there that it translates it from, an Apple readable file to an Android, but I don't have experience actually doing that. So
I think we're reaching the end of our discussion time.
yeah, I think we're about at 16 minutes.
So it sounds like Xcode for multiple platforms might be our better choice then.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and that Xcode does actually have it's a lot less space to download. Well, I still think that Visual Studio is a little bit better. I do understand the fact that it has less space and it doesn't require, you know, 2.3 gigabytes of space to install.
It's a hefty download for Visual Studios.
Download, whereas you can download Xcode for a lot less space and it's easier to cross over. So if we were talking about something, I mean, I think that while Visual Studio has a lot of good features to it, if you're gonna have a lot of programs to, if you're gonna have a startup company, it's gonna be a lot easier and probably less expensive to start out with that. You may not. I mean, and from what I know of Xcode, it seems that you don't know if it's able to translate over, is what you're saying?
I think it can. I've never done it, but from what I understand, it can. Yeah.
Xcode, I believe, you just code once and it works for both Apple and Android. So
Yeah.
I think that would be really good. It's just, is it free? Does it cost anything?
No, it's free, but it would require us, in our startup company, we would have to all get MacBooks or Macs, and we'd all have to working in that environment. So, usually in a startup company, you have some upfront costs anyways. You have to buy some hardware there, but if we all use it, go ahead.
Yeah. You also have to think of the monthly cost for app development using Apple compared to Android as well. So, but the good thing about Xcode is it does allow us to do both. So if we decide later on in our company that making Apple applications is just way too expensive, we can just go with the Android side of it, which is very, very nice. And I agree upon this discussion that Xcode would be a good choice for our company. What do you guys think?
Yeah, sounds like that would be the best choice.
Maybe I can just end with this figure that I found. If you can see this figure now, it's comparing Xcode with Android Studio and Visual Studio. It does not include Notepad++, but as far as Xcode and Visual Studios are both pretty close in here, but you notice that Xcode is way better on gaming programming than Visual Studios is. And I think because Xcode is free, and where Visual Studios, if we're starting a company, we would have to pay for it. Cost is not included in these, but if it was, Xcode would be free and Visual Studios would be expensive. So this is kind of what I based mine off of, and I thought Xcode looked pretty good. So
Yeah, I agree.
Me too. Let's go with it.
all right. So I think at this point we've all decided that for our mobile development company that we're starting up, that we'd like to use Xcode. So we'll get Macs, and I have a Mac, so I'm already a leg up.
All right. Good job.
All right. So thanks everyone. Appreciate everyone's input there.
Yep. Everyone, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Okay.